There is a question that has followed me for more than 60 years. Not loudly, not angrily, but quietly, the way something unfinished follows you. And it is the question I never asked my father when he was still alive to answer it. My name is Henry, and I am 89 years old. I've lived long enough to see most things come back around, and long enough to understand that the heaviest regrets are rarely about what we did wrong, but about what we never said out loud. My father was not a cruel man, but he was a quiet one. He was born during hard times, raised by people who believed love was shown through work, not words. And by the time I knew him, silence had already become his native language. He woke up early, came home tired, ate his supper without complaint, and went to bed without ceremony. He paid the bills, fixed what broke, and never once told me he was afraid or proud or unsure. As a boy, I thought that was just how men were. I remember watching him shave in the mornings. He never locked the bathroom door. He would look at himself in the mirror, carefully, seriously, like the mirror might say something back if he stared long enough. I used to wonder what he was looking for. I never asked. I don't know why. Maybe I assumed the answers would be boring, or maybe I sensed that asking would open a door neither of us knew how to walk through. When I was young, I didn't think much about my father. As a person, he was simply there, like the house or the road outside. Solid, permanent. Adults feel that way to children. We think they are finished, fully formed, without doubts or questions of their own. It never occurred to me that he might have wanted something different from his life, or that he might have made choices he still carried with him at night. The question I wish I had asked him was simple. I wish I had looked at him one day, maybe over coffee, maybe while he was fixing something that didn't need fixing, and asked, "Were you happy with the life you lived?" Not as an accusation, not as a challenge, just as a human being asking another human being to tell the truth. But life has a way of convincing us there will always be another chance. I moved out. I got married. I had children of my own. Conversations with my father became shorter, more practical. How's work? How's the weather? Is the car running fine? We talked about everything except the things that mattered. I told myself that deep questions were for later, for when there was more time, for when we were both older and slower and had nothing else to do. I didn't realize that time doesn't wait for readiness. It only waits for no one. The last real conversation I remember having with my father was in a hospital room. He was thinner than I remembered, smaller somehow, as if life was already loosening its grip on him. We talked about my children. He asked if I was taking care of my mother. He nodded a lot. I sat there with the question in my chest, heavy and obvious, and I still didn't ask it. I was afraid of what the answer might do to me. If he said yes, I worried it would mean I had no right to complain about my own doubts. If he said no, I worried it would mean the life he showed me as an example was built on something unspoken and unresolved. So instead, I told him I loved him. He squeezed my hand once. That was our language. After he died, the question didn't disappear. It grew louder. It followed me into my own middle age, into my own moments of exhaustion and quiet dissatisfaction. I started to see my father not as a role, but as a man who had been young once, who had stood at crossroads I would never see, who had made decisions with incomplete information, just like the rest of us. I began to understand that silence is often not strength. Sometimes it is simply habit, Sometimes it is fear dressed up as responsibility. My father did what he believed was right. He provided, he stayed, he endured. But I will never know if he felt alive inside the life he built or if he simply learned to stop asking himself questions he didn't know how to answer. As I grew older, I noticed something unsettling. I was becoming him, not in the ways I expected, but in the ways that matter. I found myself answering questions with facts instead of feelings. I found myself saying, "It's fine," when it wasn't. I found myself believing that love could be implied rather than spoken. And then one day, I realized I was passing the same silence down to my own children. That realization scared me more than aging ever has. Wrinkles are honest. Slowness is honest. But repeating a life without examining it first feels like a quiet betrayal. That was when I finally understood why the question mattered so much. It wasn't about judging my father. It was about understanding him, and through him, understanding myself. I started asking myself the question instead. Was I happy with the life I was living? Not grateful, not successful, not busy, but happy in the deep, unexplainable way that doesn't need justification. The answer changed over the years. Sometimes it was yes. Sometimes it was no. But at least I was listening. Now, at 89, I see my father more clearly than I ever did when he was alive. I see a man doing his best with the tools he was given. I see a man who likely had questions of his own that he never asked his father. I see a long line of silence stretching backward through generations, not because people didn't care, but because they didn't know how to speak. If I could sit with him now, I don't think the answer would matter as much as the asking. I think what I wanted, without realizing it, was permission to be honest, permission to live a life examined out loud, permission to say that endurance is not the same thing as fulfillment, and that providing is not the same thing as being known. There is a strange peace that comes with accepting that some questions will never be answered. But there is also a responsibility that comes with recognizing them before it's too late. The question I never asked my father became the question that shaped the rest of my life. Quietly, persistently, like a hand on my back, steering me when I wasn't looking. If you are listening to this, and there is someone in your life whose silence you have mistaken for permanence, I hope you understand something I learned too late. People do not stay forever, but questions do. And the ones we avoid have a way of waiting for us, patiently, until we are old enough to finally hear them. Ask while you can. Not because you are owed an answer, but because the asking itself can change the shape of a life. And if you cannot ask them anymore, ask yourself. Out loud, honestly. It is one of the few conversations that still has time left in it.